Hi, I'm Mark Sleboda, and this is The Real Politick. In what is an obvious controlled release of information, U.S. government officials recently admitted in a New York Times report that the CIA, U.S. Special Forces, and Commandos from 20 NATO countries are on the ground in Ukraine in a major way, assisting Kiev regime forces in the fight against the Russian military intervention. The new Cold War has already turned hot. This is all a little bizarre because it was just a few weeks ago that the very same reporter for the New York Times, speaking to, once again, anonymous U.S. officials, told us contradictory info. That the U.S. government has very little intelligence info about Ukrainian government strategy or the state of their military and its efforts on the ground. You'd be forgiven for thinking they're playing us for idiots. These anonymous U.S. government officials have now pinky sworn, however, that the Western operatives are not actively fighting on the front line, but are merely training, advising, helping select Russian targets with U.S. intel data, and coordinating the flood of Western weapons into the country. So, the U.S. and its NATO allies are merely having their special forces on the ground assist these U.S.-funded Kiev regime troops, armed with U.S. weapons, coordinated right into their hands to select which Russian targets to hit and how to hit them using U.S. battlefield computer tablets with apps constantly updated with U.S. intelligence and satellite data. But don't worry, the U.S. isn't at war with Russia, right? All of this may sound eerily familiar to those who remember the tens of thousands of U.S. military trainers and advisors on the ground in Vietnam that snowballed into the Vietnam War. Or, even more recently, when President Obama sent hundreds of U.S. intelligence operatives and special forces into Syria to also train, advise, and coordinate the flow of Western weapons to head-chopping, suicide-bombing jihadists allied with al-Qaeda. That not-so-covert involvement led directly to the U.S. military invasion and occupation of East Syria under the guise of fighting ISIS that continues to this day. I can tell you understand where this is going. There are only two not at all mutually exclusive reasons for the U.S. government to publicly announce their not-so-covert direct involvement in the Ukrainian conflict now. One, to prepare the American public for a flow of flag-draped coffins returning to Dover Air Force Base from Ukraine, and two, to psychologically prep the American public and the world for the almost inevitable mission creep from CIA operatives and commandos to a direct U.S. military intervention.